Welcome to Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Camryn Irwin alongside Stu Jackson and the master of ceremonies, Farr, a.k.a. Super Bowl champ.
I don't know about that. You know what? Surprisingly, I felt more comfortable out there than anywhere. Isn't that weird?
You know what? You looked comfortable. You did a phenomenal job. If you didn't get a chance to see, I mean, my goodness, we'll show some clips right now, but we got a chance to celebrate the 99 Super Bowl champion team. It's the 25th anniversary, and you even got the kicks. You got it all, but Farr led the way.
I felt good. I mean, that's a good group of guys to have with you if you're on a football field, right? A couple Hall of Famers and a bunch of tough guys. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I'm so happy. Thank you to the Rams for putting that on, and just special. Can't believe it's been 25 years. I don't look that old, do I?
No, you don't. But you definitely don't look that old in this. Farr did some work for you.
Oh my God, look at that. Is that me? See, and I still got my hair. How about that, right? Hold on, let me put this up. What do you think? See?
It looks pretty good.
Same guy, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had this. I wish I had this guy's knees, though. Yeah.
Well, and that's an exact moment, right?
Yes, this is from the playoffs. This is the first ever playoff game in St. Louis history, and I had recovered a fumble by your buddy, Jeff George. He dropped it right there. I said, well, thank you very much, and I was bringing this to my mother, like she told me. Yeah, that's me. Hey, Mom!
Well, it was an incredible time getting a chance to see that 99 team. Now, that might have been probably our biggest highlight coming off the loss to Philly. And it was pretty rough in some moments. And according to Sean McVay, what he called somewhat humbling. However, there were some benchmarks that potentially could shift. You're facing an amazing team in the Eagles, right? Like, they bring so much skill, offensive, defensive. I have to start with, where do you kind of assess this loss? Where do you begin?
Wow. Well, how long have you guys been watching ball? Like, when did you start watching football? Just average.
5, 6.
Okay, that had to be one of the best performances you've ever seen out of a football player.
That's fair.
What Saquon Barkley did. So if you play this game long enough, eventually you're going to run into a buzzsaw. And unfortunately, it happened on primetime, so everybody saw it. But, I mean, he's good. He has a chance for MVP, so I'm not surprised by that. I guess I am surprised because there is a path to victory to beat good teams, even if they're a little bit better. And I thought the Rams were following the script until you put the ball on the deck. And then things started to happen, and they snowballed. You got behind. That's where you don't want to be, and Philadelphia beat you. So I'm not surprised by that. So it's not the end of the road. You've still got some things to play for. So it's only one loss. It just so happens that everybody saw it.
Yeah, and to your point, DeMarco, too, I mean, it just goes to show the margin for error against teams like that, that are in the upper echelon of the conference. You just can't have the self-inflicted mistakes like you talked about, the fumbles, some of the penalties, missed field goals that the Rams had if you're trying to make that competitive and come out with a win.
And I'm not just picking on one guy, I'm not picking on Kyron. There's a lot of them. I mean, I think Jared Verse just learned a very valuable lesson. That's Jalen Hurts. He can get outside if you go inside. So make sure if you freelance and try something, you don't violate lane integrity or he'll get out. So there's lessons to be learned. Some of them in football can be painful.
Well, it is Thanksgiving week, and it's actually just the day before Thanksgiving. So we have to talk a little bit about what we're thankful for coming out of this matchup, because I can tell you one thing, I am thankful we do not have to see Saquon again. And the second thing, Braden Fiske still putting on a performance. He just seems to just stack. He had a sack against Philly, 4 pressures, 3 hurries. And right now, he is currently leading all rookies with 6 sacks this season. Can you maybe speak to how he led in this one?
Bro, he is. I just called you bro. I'm sorry.
It's fine. We got it.
Thank you. My bad. But when I see him, it's like, wow, he is absolutely flat ass balling. He is really, really balling his butt off. So there's a lot more to go. And it's hard because we all got to see the greatest to ever do it in Aaron. So I judge them a little bit differently. But the hardest part of playing defensive line, that spot, is pass rushing. You got to be viable in the run game and in the pass game. The hardest part is pass rushing. Well, he's got that. The other stuff you can teach him, and he's going to learn. He learned versus Philadelphia. But that was the first thing and the first guy that the Philadelphia guys wanted to talk about. You got Stafford, Kupp, Puka, Jared Verse is about to be Defensive Rookie of the Year, and the first guy they wanted to talk about was Braden Fiske. So the secret's out. He can get it home. When you can rush the passer in today's game, it's very, very valuable, and it helps your football team, no doubt.
I go back to what Kobe Turner told me earlier this season about how he views Braden Fiske, and he said, I don't look at him like a normal rookie. And with the ownership that he's shown and obviously the production he's had, it's not difficult to see why he's held in that high of regard, even by some of his experienced teammates.
JB Long called him Kingpin on the air. I think it's going to stick. Yeah. Have you guys seen Kingpin from Spider-Man? Now I can't unsee it. So JB might be right.
Well, I like to take you guys on a little bit of a roller coaster, especially after a loss. So we're going to continue the climb here with another nice nugget. Puka Nacua has just been impactful, especially after the catch, now that he's back on the field for the Los Angeles Rams. His 10th 100-yard receiving game of his career. He's now tied for second most in NFL history in a player's first 23 games.
Wow.
I mean, he was the target time and time again in this matchup. And we're going to need him against the Saints now.
No doubt. I think you need him. You know, he's an extension of the run game. He's a great route runner. So being on the sidelines is funny. And it's fun and it's funny sometimes because you see these corners. And when Puka catches it, especially when the ball is delivered on time, where he could spin around and get north and south, and he faces up these smaller corners. And it like dawns on them for the first time how big he is. And their eyes get so big. And he can feel that and just go right through them. So valuable, and not just in the passing game. The guy is willing to block anyone, just like Cooper Kupp. So there's so many things you can do with him offensively. So I just hope that you can get more opportunities. And when you have those scoring ops, you keep them by not turning the ball over. So I think that's what's been killing the team. But Puka has been absolutely lights out for this football team for a while.
Love the physicality that he plays with, and I think to what DeMarco was just saying, that's one of the biggest reasons why he's able to make so much happen after the catch. I mean, speed and agility is there too, of course, but the that physicality has been his calling card.
What do you think of the hair?
I like it.
It was flowing in his pregame interview. I'll tell you that much.
That catch in New England with the hair flying back, I was kind of jealous.
They almost caught him with it once, too.
I know, right? If it's out there, it's legal. So just know that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm tying that up. That would make me nervous. All right. Well, now that we've hit the top of the roller coaster, let's bring it back down a little bit to reality. Now, on both sides of the trenches, the Rams were presented with some benchmarks for line play at the top of the league, right? Both offensive and defensively. We have some youth, especially on our defensive front. What can they take in terms of a learning lesson, having faced off against a team like the Eagles and that offensive line?
I know it's been great, and there's been some moments where they're young, like against Philadelphia, where it just didn't go as well. Saquon had a great day on you, but all that stuff they're going through when they're being asked to go back out on the field, like in New England, to win the football game, or other situations where they're put in bad situations, either they get the stop or they don't. They're all learning. This is all information they can use for later on. At some point, and it might happen starting Sunday in New Orleans, where they've seen everything they need to see to become a great defense. So the more reps you get, the more bad situations you're put in, the more times you have success, the better you're going to become. Everybody is learning. They're all young. So I wish you didn't have to have growing pains in football, but you do. So what happened against Philadelphia will help them in the long run. So it seems bad now, but trust me, if they stay the course and they stay healthy and you keep drilling the same values into them, at some point this defense is going to be top 10, maybe even beyond.
Rush lane integrity, gap integrity especially. I mean, that's to your point about painful lessons earlier. I mean, that's a team that if you miss one gap or pick the wrong one or miss that assignment in some way, they're going to make you pay in multiple different ways, especially with the threat that Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley present out of the backfield. So there won't be teams that present as big of a threat as those two in the same backfield. But still, I mean, if you're going to pick a game where it's like, knowing your gaps and being gap sound and rush lane sound.
Oh yeah, Omar Spates and Roseboom had him dead to rights in the A gap, and you're thinking there's no way he can get from there all the way out to there. Oh yes, he can. Bam. So you learn. That's that. I've never seen that before. Now you have. Now you have to guard for it. You get better.
DeMarco, do you like cranberry sauce with your turkey? Do
yes.
you like the salty sweet combination?
Come on. Yes.
Well, because this is a little bit salty and a little sweet. Talking about the run defense. But I got to give my guy MJD a little love. Last time that somebody had 2 touchdowns for over 70 yards in a single game before Sunday night was, in fact, our friend Maurice Jones-Drew. So shout out to him.
I heard that. Okay, so I heard that, and they also said Maurice was really good outside in the cold when he was a player. What happened to that guy?
I was going to say, that man does not know.
Yeah. Come on.
He's getting bundled up, that's for sure.
No doubt.
And lastly, I'll leave you with this, thinking back to Philly. I love what Sean McVay had to say this week in regards to his team, saying he's looking forward to learning about themselves this week, and especially down the stretch. How does that resonate with you as we're heading into the last few games of the season?
I think that's entirely fair, don't you? I really do. Because they say this, and I've been on some teams, obviously, before we won the Super Bowl, and doing this job that were out of it before Thanksgiving. Like, you were out of the Super Bowl race mathematically. And they always say the same thing. We're going to see who loves to play football from here. We got 7 games to go. They don't really matter that much as far as Super Bowl, but we're going to see who loves it. Same thing. You're in the hunt here, thank God. But you're going to find out a lot about who your players are, who your coaches are, how do they feel about this game, and how much do you want to win? You just got shellacked on national TV. How are you going to respond to that? There's only 2 ways. I don't care, or we're going to never have that happen again. So we're going to find out in New Orleans. So I think that's the exact right tone you want to, hit with this team right now.
It's about how you respond, right? Just like you mentioned, and like McVay mentions all the time. I mean, division's still very much up for grabs. And you look at, the circumstances this team faced last year and the way they were able to respond from those adverse situation and make a run and end up getting a wild card berth. So still within reach.
Me, us up here, everybody in this room, we're not going down without a fight. So
without a doubt,
we're going to find out. Yeah.
Well, let's dig into it. The NFC West and where it now stands. We got a little help this week thanks to the Seahawks and of course the Packers. The Seahawks win over the Cardinals. Packers win over the 49ers. Still within grasp. This is a wild division right now. Everyone just within 1 game of each other. Could play to our favor in consideration as to what's still to come. But what do you feel like the Rams need to improve upon down the stretch here to be able to have a chance?
Just one. Just one thing.
That's fair. What you got?
Okay, I think the most important thing in the room, going all the way back to July, protect your quarterback. Protect Matthew Stafford. I'll give this dude credit, and I give him a lot of credit. I think he's one of the best arm talents I've ever seen. He's a great leader. He's tough as nails. But you get to see that toughness on display. That shot he took from Brandon Graham, right to the face, where you couldn't see it coming, and that would scare the bejeez out of anybody.
He popped right up.
Ran to the sideline.
I noticed it too.
Even if he was hurt, he's not going to show them that and give his team that. He's got to be a leader. So I would rather him not take those shots. So protecting your quarterback, I think from here on out has got to be paramount.
Being better on third down for me. This was something that McVay acknowledged post-game that, that's an area that they need to be better at. And, until you can start getting into some of those more manageable down and distances with, getting ahead of the chains on first and second down, when you are in those third and longs, trying to avoid those third and longs is really, where it starts. That ties into better protection as well. But getting there would solve quite a few problems.
And don't fumble.
Yeah, that would help as well.
Yeah.
A little ball security. We'll get there. We'll get there. But, we were in this situation. It doesn't feel like too long ago, and the Rams winning 7 of their last 8 games in the 2023 season. So things were a little bit similar. We talk about building momentum. They have still picked up a significant wave of momentum. This Philly team was a tough task to have to take on. How do you kind of bridge the gap between winning 4 of 5, taking a loss, and then all of a sudden still trying to carry that momentum when you know the team you just faced?
I think even the best teams go week by week. So I think this team should go week by week, day by day. You're trying to get better incrementally, and it's all about just building those wins. It could be, a good practice. It could be not a ball hits the ground in a certain period of practice. It could be cleaning up the locker room. It could be small things, but you have to start stacking wins. So win Wednesday, win Thursday, win Friday, definitely win on Sunday, and then start again on Monday. I don't think right now any team is good enough to say we have to win X amount of the next games it's not that. You got to win each day, each moment, and then start with Sunday.
Being in the now is a lot more favorable compared to, say, looking ahead and counting the number of games left and looking at the standings and trying to figure out, to Camryn's point, like that exact number, that magic number. So taking it week by week makes a lot of sense.
I guess the easiest way, stay off your phones.
Yeah,
that's true too.
Yeah.
I know, and Stu, we were talking about it just prior to the show, but the Rams potentially you want to be in the position to control your own destiny. How do they kind of get there?
Yeah, just exactly what DeMarco was talking about. I mean, it's really just, winning, obviously, and relying more on yourselves than having to be in a situation where you're relying more on the help of others, especially teams in the division, in order to be in the position you want to be in, obviously, which is reaching the postseason.
Yeah, let's start with Alvin, Kamara, and Taysom Hill and everybody else there. And then we'll keep going. Then we'll worry about somebody else.
You talk about staying off your phones. Just reminded me, I know somebody who's been staying off their phones. That's Puka Nacua. By the way, we are in the NFC West, which is great. I don't know if you saw that this week.
Puka's off his phone. What happened?
Well, he was asked about in his weekly press conference, and he apparently at that moment was when he found out that we were in the NFC West.
He's
he
locked in.
He didn't know what division we're in?
Nope.
That's so on brand. I love it.
I love it.
See, I love it.
It speaks exactly to who he is.
Just ball, catch, go. Yep, love it.
Yep. Very focused on what's important.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, let's focus on what's important coming up this week as we have the New Orleans Saints on the road. And you guys already mentioned it. Kamara is a scary task to have to face. And maybe there is a bright light having, in the sense having had to face Saquon. Maybe there's something we can shore up. Having now to face Kamara?
No doubt. When something bad happens when you were a kid and your parents found out, that's the last time that happened, right? Well, the same thing. So all the mistakes you made or the stuff you didn't think a running back can do, all that's out the window. So it's going to make you a better player. And in my opinion, I think Kamara is basically a smaller Saquon. He's a guy that could start front side and break out the backside C-gap. So it takes all 11 to stop him, and he's a problem out of the backfield. And I think New Orleans it might be the most tricky offense or the most intricate because of Taysom Hill and what they can do. So you have to be laser focused in the meeting room, and you have to be even more physical and better on the field. So it's a tough matchup for this Rams defense.
Well, it's good that you bring up Kamara and Taysom Hill, especially because with all the injuries they've dealt with at wide receiver, Chris Olave being out especially, their number one, I mean, they've still been a productive and functional offense, even just having Kamara and Hill available. And so certainly starts with those guys this week.
Isn't it crazy? We're talking about an NFL offense, and we haven't even mentioned the starting quarterback yet.
Well,
that's how crazy it is. Yeah,
it's insane, and especially they're currently sitting at 4-7. They're coming off back-to-back wins and a bye leading into this, so they have plenty of prep time. And for us to now kind of prep in this condensed sense, you're going, where are we even looking? The first drive versus the Browns for the Saints, Taysom Hill threw a pass, caught a pass, and ran in for a touchdown. Like, he's also in the return game. He had one of the best performances that I've seen. How do you go about trying to slow a guy like that down? Where does the preparation even begin?
I think I want to date myself here, but he is the pro version of Gordy Lockbaum. Anybody ever heard of him? He's a guy that could do everything. He played every position in college. But he didn't turn out to be a good pro. But I didn't think that was possible in the professional leagues, in today's NFL or the past. But he is that guy. I mean, that is so tough to defend. But I would say this, if I was coordinating, and I think Chris Shula is going to say something like this to his guys, just forget the number. And just wherever he lines up, that's what he is. If he's in the backfield as a fullback, treat him as a fullback. We're going to go 21. If he's out here at tight end, treat him as a tight end. If you're always waiting for him to take the snap and throw it, that's when they kill you. So wherever he lines up, that's what he is. Treat him as such, and then go knock his teeth out.
Especially on those first and second levels, you better be communicating and getting that back to the secondary as well, knowing where he is at all times.
Yeah, and I watched that game versus the Browns, and I'm sitting there going, like, if I'm a young defender trying to picture exactly where he's aligning, like, that's a nightmare to me, and I would not want to have to deal with it.
I would just take the guesswork out. Wherever he is, that's what you are, and this is what I call to it. But I think he still presents problems when he lines up at quarterback and they start running the read option. He is really good at it, and that's how he scored, I think, his first touchdown was running. So he's a problem. I thought it was a gimmick. I didn't think it would last this long, but here we are. He's still playing.
There's no doubt he is still playing. Well, let's turn to the other side because you talked about protecting Matthew Stafford, and the Saints, they can actually get after the quarterback. They had 3 sacks in each of their last 2 games. The good news for the Los Angeles Rams, Rob Havenstein potentially back on the offensive line. How much of a difference can he make?
Darth Vader returns. That's my guy. Yeah, when he walks down the plane with that bag, doesn't he fill up the whole aisle? That's just a big dude. So having him back, the size is going to help. A veteran presence will definitely help. The communication. You have a young center. So that will definitely, it's a benefit having him back on the field. But I think it's also psychological. He's one of your oldest guys. When he's out there, you want to play your best football to make sure that you impress him. That's what being a veteran is about. So having him back should be a lift for this football team, and you get better. It's one of your better tackles.
Well said.
Thank you.
we're all about being complimentary on Between the Horns. In terms of keys to victory for this matchup, as we were flying through this Between the Horns episode, what needs to take place to pick up the win on the road?
You tell me so I can say well
all
said.
right,
Go
Stu,
ahead.
we'll go with you first.
I think to tie in some of the other topics that we've touched on in this conversation, starts with running the ball, especially with where the Saints rank statistically. We're talking about trying to have more manageable third downs and taking some of that pressure off of Stafford, helping the protection, especially when you look at how this team got itself out of the circumstances of last season that I talked about. You look at their numbers. What was the biggest difference? Rushing yards, just way up compared to where it was the first half of the season during some of those struggles. So if you can establish the run, that's going to go a long way to a win on Sunday. And also, like I said, taking care of some of those other things.
I wouldn't mind seeing that too. And there are stretches where it seems like Sean McVay goes to the ground and he stays there and he's trying to prove a point and it starts to work and then he starts to like it. Remember back in the day when Andrew Whitworth was still here, when he would look to the sideline and do this? Like, let's keep running the football at him. So you might start to see some of that. The best way to start over on offense, especially on offense, is if we want to get back to basics, you start with running the ball because everything flows off that. Even Coach McVay says that. If you're running the football well, everything opens up. Play action opens up. Your quarterback is better protected. So I am so down with you. Well said. Well said. Yeah.
To your point, the Saints' rush defense ranks 25th in the NFL. But I want to think, too, back to our run game because I was so hopeful facing off against Philly. I think back to the first quarter. And Camryn, he actually had a couple explosives. There was one for 27 yards, another for 11 yards, if I'm correct, obviously before what took place and the turnover. But I'm going, ooh, man, we might be able to find some big chunks. And I'm hoping that's going to be what takes place in New Orleans. We need it, whether it's from him or Quorum at this point. What about you?
Reminded me of my term papers in college. Great paper, great ideas. Forgot to put on the title page, so it goes from an A to a B. So, some great runs, but then you fumble. Because he's been awesome before the fumble, right? And he's better after. So can we just eliminate the middle and stay with that? Because who knows if you, like you said, if you had a chance to get ahead of a great team like Philadelphia and keep the pressure on them, who knows how that turns out? Maybe they're just better. But you can put the heat on them. If you get ahead of teams like New Orleans, there's no way they're coming back. Not with the young pass rushers you have. So I think this team was designed to be ahead. So if running the football gets you ahead and can keep you ahead, then so be it.
Yeah, no doubt. What about a key to victory for you? You got anything else? You said you had more than one going down the stretch.
I got one more. Okay, protect your quarterback. Get after the passer. Don't make mistakes. Learn from what just happened. The other thing is special teams, and it's not picking on a guy. Just the entire operation. You got to make your kicks. Those points matter, especially when you're in a tight race like this. So. And usually when guys miss, you point to one guy and say he missed. Well, there's a whole operation there, and there's a lot that we don't know. Snap to hold to kick. So whatever it is, you've got to streamline that. When you have a chance for 3 or 1, you've got to get it. So when you're in a tight race, when you're 5 and 6, every point matters. So you got to hit those kicks.
Absolutely.
I love it. All right.
Well said again?
Yeah.
Somebody throw it on a t-shirt.
Episode title.
By the way, this is what teamwork looks like right here.
Yeah.
These two. All right. Well, those are your keys to victory. Guys, we said it was going to be a quick episode. Finally, I got it done within 30 minutes. Thanks.
Wait,
Jory's going to be happy.
Well said.
Well said.
Theme of the episode.
Last and final. Thanksgiving just around the corner.
Yeah,
anything to be thankful for? I feel like this is like my mom sitting at a dining room table. What you guys got?
Yeah, listening intently. I'm going to go with Kevin Dotson. One, because of his play, not only as a pass blocker, run blocker, and what he's meant to the offensive line this season, but also if you haven't seen his mic'd up please go do yourself a favor and watch it.
Is it funny?
Just
okay.
The genuine and authentic joy that this guy plays with is what makes football fun, and it just every time I see it, it just brings a smile to my face. So. Yeah, for all of those reasons, I'm thankful for Kevin.
I've never seen a guard wear a Guardian helmet, so he must be interesting. I love this, and I think he's doing it as a fashion statement, not for safety. But I got to hear that. But you picked Kevin Dotson to be thankful for Thanksgiving.
Well,
I like my family, my friends, all the people that I
going
work
Rams
with. Yes,
Yeah.
Kevin
Rams
Dotson.
themed.
Okay.
We'll stick Rams theme. I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So thankful for the Rams.
Yeah. I can think of one for you.
Okay,
My
no, I got
goodness.
one. To be honest, I am really, and we all are, this team is, everyone in Los Angeles, thankful that the NFC West is wide open.
Hey, amen to that.
You're below 500 and you still have a shot. We should all be thankful for
call.
that. So that's kind of where I lean, yeah.
I
And
love
Kevin Dotson.
Yeah. And for my friends and family who are watching this, yes, I am thankful for you. Having it documented.
Love you, Mom.
Yes.
Yeah, love you, Mom.
I will say the young defensive front, because I think there is a future there for the Los Angeles Rams, and it's one that gives me a ton of hope. They have just been a pleasant surprise right off the bat, and they are so fun to watch, so physical, so explosive, and I'm looking forward to years to come.
Well said.
Thanks,
Yes.
thanks for joining us on Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealer. Of course, the Rams going on the road to face the Saints for this Week 13 matchup. And this has been brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Camryn Irwin alongside Stu Jackson and our Super Bowl champ, Marco Farr.